We are back. Thank you for joining the Diamond K Show. RadioFire.com, of course, the voice of urban America. Obviously, Diamond K in here. Nikki also in the building. How you doing, Nikki?
I'm good. How you doing?
Very good, very good. So, of course, I want people to know we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and, of course, RadioOnFire.com. It's been a very interesting weekend. I mean, some things happened here in Baltimore. A suspect charged in the shooting of a 2-year-old here in Baltimore. Police charged this man as it relates to a road rage incident that happened around midnight, a little bit after midnight. It was Saturday morning, right? Okay. For those that want to know why a 2-year-old was even out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was wondering that as well. But Javon Johnson, 33 years old, charged today with attempted murder, assault, various handgun-related charges, and he is held downtown at Central Booking. Ironically, not that far from where this shooting took place. So a reward was offered, $15K, offered Sunday by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Yeah, ATF. Really? Yeah.
They offered a reward.
Yeah, $15K for him. So anyway, they had a photo of the silver Mazda MPV. You remember those? MPV van. So this is what happened. So people around the country that don't know, and you didn't know exactly what happened, right?
I didn't.
So in the 500 block of West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, there was a traffic light, right? Okay. There's a traffic light, and when the light turned green, as often happens, cars did not move.
Okay.
And you know what usually happens when that
right.
with 1 nanosecond, people just start blowing the horn. Right. So multiple cars did not move through the green light. The driver of the car, who they believed to be the suspect, blew the horn, right? They blew the horn. Okay. So the crazy part about it is that the driver then went around the cars before turning the corner. Now, what they believe is that the driver of the first car at the light then caught up with the victim's vehicle and then fired his gun into the victim's vehicle, which struck the child.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to go back and make sure that people understand. Okay. Now, the person who did not pull off immediately was the driver who shot the suspect.
Okay.
Okay. So, you know how you have like 4 or 5 cars, right?
Right.
Like turns green, people blowing a horn, and maybe they're upset because traffic's not moving. Okay. So that car was somewhere in the back of the line, and they're blowing their horn. Now they have this toddler in the car. So what upsets me is that I don't know why people get so frustrated when things don't, because you can't see what's directly in front of the first car.
Right.
So 4 cars back, you may not see somebody's crossing the street. And we're talking about this Martin Luther King area. People are frequently in the street, panhandling or walking across the street slow.
Right.
And you may not be able to pull off immediately once it turns green unless you want to run somebody over. Assuming that's what happened, because they could have just been messing with their phone and not paying attention, right?
Right.
So a lot of times people get frustrated when they blow the horn, and it may make them go slow. or not move at all. In this instance, the person who was at the back of the line or somewhere in the middle of the line got frustrated, blew the horn, and finally went around.
Okay.
Maybe, and I'm thinking that they're leaving this off because what would make him follow that car and then shoot into their car? Unless they said something to him, or, I'm sure a lot of people probably blew their horn.
Wait, so let me, I'm trying to follow it. So
Okay.
the person that pulled out from behind the car that's not moving, that's at the light, goes around, and the person that was at the light paused is the person that shot into the car?
Yes. So
they got mad because they went around them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there had to be some other things that happened.
Oh, okay.
Because there were several cars that was behind that car, right? So whatever it is, and we're just speculating here, but whatever it is, that the car with the toddler in it blew their horn, and then they pulled from around that car and turned at the light and turned the corner. The first car, the driver of the first car, this is according to the police commissioner, the driver of the first car that was at the light then caught up with the victim's vehicle and fired his gun into the victim's vehicle, which struck the child.
So it was kind of like a pull up while they driving off, like, you so stupid. Why wouldn't you just move?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, okay. So that's what's up. So they ended up following them.
Right.
Oh, wow. That's
now,
so
of course, this is a 2-year-old, so it's not like they saw it. I don't think that they intentionally tried to kill the child, but they intentionally tried to do something because they shot in the car. And even if they didn't know a child was in the car, there was an adult in the car. There was some person in the car.
Regardless of, yeah. Right. You wanted to do some kind of harm to somebody.
Yeah, this is a very terrible thing. I mean, a 2-year-old, you know what I mean? A 2-year-old child. And like I said, so he's charged with attempted murder, assault, and various handgun charges. So that is just, it's one of those things. Wow. So just so people knows, the shooting happened right near Martin Luther King, Franklin, Pennsylvania Avenue area, right around in that area.
Yeah. I'm very familiar.
Yeah, so it is a lot of times it's people walking in the street frequently right there. And
that's
maybe
scary.
He couldn't pull immediately off. Maybe he was doing something. Whatever it was, I just wish that it did not get to this level.
Yeah.
I wish that it did not get to this level. It's one of those things. The police commissioner here in Baltimore, Michael Harrison, said crimes like this simply cannot and will not be tolerated in a civilized society in the great city of Baltimore. So keep people posted on that. I saw over the weekend photos of the vehicle that was shot into, and when they were still looking for the suspect and all of that. It's just a sad situation. So Joe Biden obviously running for president. You like Joe Biden?
He has no personality. I have no thoughts.
He doesn't.
On Joe Biden. Who? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, he's okay.
Yeah. So he's going through some back and forth with the president. The president has pulled his son Hunter into the conversation and saying that Joe and Hunter are corrupt, and that when Joe was vice president, that Hunter was gallivanting around and getting big money deals because his father was the vice president, and accusing him of corruption. And specifically corruption in the country of Ukraine. Okay. Now, the ethics or whatever Biden has, for the most part, reacted with a mix of silence and then counter accusations, saying, "Oh, you're talking about me? What about your kids?" That kind of thing, right? And also, it appears that his son is resigning from a Chinese investment company and pledging to have no more business arrangements with foreign entities. I think that Joe Biden needs Olivia Pope. He's messing up, okay? This is not what you do. Democrats always make this mistake. The Republicans never step down, never back up, never apologize. And yes, the Trump kids are doing the same and much worse.
You're right.
And they're not going to stop. They're not going to apologize.
Nope.
Nor should they. If that's allowed by the law, and that's what the law is, fine. But the Democrats always shoot themselves in the foot and seem so weak. Now is, and I'm hearing that his son is going to do some interview tomorrow. There's a debate tomorrow, and he's going to do some interview and he's going to talk, and you know what I mean. They're going to be whining and crying and seeming weak, and yes, and even though his kids are doing these things, they don't care. They know. And he's pointing, yeah, I got a bunch of kids and my son-in-law doing it. And what? I'm talking about you. And they, oh, yeah, I ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? Just, it's ridiculous. Maybe it's me. Am I crazy? Maybe I am. But what do you think?
No, I mean, I really do think that anybody, especially the Democrats, a Democrat has to have a backbone in this race when dealing with Donald Trump, because he doesn't care. We need somebody bold. We do not need Democrats to be weak right now. So he has to adopt, unfortunately, some of that Trump spirit. Yeah. So maybe he does need Olivia Pope, the fixer.
Yeah,
she's a fixer.
So
he needs a fixer.
Yeah, so it's they're calling it his counteroffensive. This is the Biden counteroffensive. And it's going to coincide with this debate that's, like I said, and they're going to unveil this exclusive interview where his son is going to sit down and discuss Ukraine and China and Trump's personal attacks on him.
He's so smart. Trump is the master manipulator of distraction. You notice that this is distracting. This is so distracting. Do you realize that?
Yeah. So Biden's campaign is not going to discuss the specifics of his son's business arrangements, and I think that they have fallen into his trap, and it's really derailing Biden. I'm not even mad though, because I don't even like Biden for the nomination anyway. Right. And the fact that Trump is probably going to get him out of the way, okay, fine. The strong survive, and I guess Biden got to go.
Yeah, you can have him.
Government reform is going to come, though. So I do hope that Trump understands that in his attempt to get rid of Biden, he will eventually close this faucet that him and his kids-in-law are using right now. Eventually, that's going to go away. Eventually, the children of presidential candidates and elected officials are not going to be able to do business in countries where they have some type of say-so over the jurisdiction of that, whether it's a NATO country or whatever it is, some type of a partner where they can lean on the country and then, do some business with them on the back end with one of their kids. Right. That's eventually going to be gone. The crazy thing about it is this is part of the swamp that Trump ran on, draining the swamp. However, he jumped in the swamp, and then the swamp that he wants to drain are only people that he doesn't do business with. Could you ever see yourself voting for Trump?
No.
Biden?
No.
Well, you voted for Biden when he was with President Obama.
Well, that was by default. Really? I would never vote for him now by himself. What?
Yeah. Last thing I want to touch on is this is a tricky situation here. So this is tricky. We're going to speak more about this tomorrow on the Father and Son News show. But the president has called for the immediate withdrawal of troops in northern Syria. Okay. So the American has a small force there, and a lot of people are saying that Americans are cutting and running because the Turks are coming, and they have allies there that are called the Kurds, and the Kurds have been helping America fight against ISIS. When the soldiers leave, then the Turks are coming in, and a lot of ISIS prisoners, detainees, have become free because Americans left, and there's nobody watching the prisoners, and the prisoners are getting out, right? And so this is what is really causing Trump some problems, because some military people are of that, we say we want to stand by our allies, and that's what we got to do. And Trump ran on I want to end these never-ending wars, and America's just being forever stationed somewhere, and we just being in a never-ending war. One of the few things that I agree with him on is that.
Yeah, I agree.
So Republicans, for the most part, are usually gung-ho. We fight over here, fight over there. Military-industrial complex. I talk about it often. A lot of Democrats are like that. That's one thing that they're unified on. They want to go to war and fight, usually, because there's some gun or weapons manufacturer that's donating to their campaign, and they want to control these people, which is how we end up fighting in a war for weapons of mass destruction, and there were no weapons there because these people love to go to war, right? We end up fighting in a country for 15, 20 years that these aren't even people that they said bombed us at 9/11. You know what I mean? Right. But they say this is the war on terror. But the war on terror is supposed to be triggered by 9/11, but we end up in countries that you weren't even accusing of doing anything. And the countries who you said that the hijackers were from, Saudi Arabia, we do business with them all the time. Very strange, right? Very strange. But anyway, I don't have a problem with them pulling soldiers out of places. There's no good time to pull soldiers out. And is it our job to sit? And I think that America has gone made itself too thin. We are borrowing money from China to give to other countries to help with their stuff, their issues, and then it increases our debt. That's where the money comes from. This is money that this is why the China relationship is so strained.
Borrowing money to fight somebody else's war. That sounds ludicrous. Is that smart?
It's absolutely not smart. It's absolutely not smart. We borrow this money. Yeah. We borrow this money. And it's not good. And so I understand. So a lot of the military folk are feeling like, they're saying we're chickens and we gotta, it's honor and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that. But at the same time, how are we explaining to these mothers and these fathers and these families how their children, because these are kids, their children are out fighting in some desert somewhere, they're not even fighting for Americans. They're just fighting because the government said go here. This is your mission, right? But they're not really fighting. It's just whatever they say the mission is. That's for your safety, right? In Turkey, in Syria, how is this helping us? How is this helping us? I don't see it. So but Republicans, if they were mad about it, they didn't care about good people on all sides and all the racist things that he said. They didn't care about the Russia stuff. They don't care about this Ukraine stuff. But a lot of them were upset about him pulling soldiers out and cutting and running, as they call it. Now, there is a downside. There's a downside to everything that happens. The downside is they were talking about ISIS has been defeated. They're done. Leaving too early or leaving at a certain point in the playing devil's advocate can allow them to regroup and then rebuild. That is something true. But at the end of the day, we don't need to keep our soldiers in Syria forever. We don't need to do that. But he released a statement today, the president, saying that he is soon going to be issuing an executive order authorizing the imposing of sanctions against current and former officials of the government of Turkey and any persons contributing to Turkey's destabilizing actions in northeast Syria. So now he's coming back with sanctions, and they're going to try to squeeze the money up and make them feel the wrath through finances. I think that is very effective. But with anything, there comes consequences. So we're going to see how that's going to go, and what happens there with that. At the end of the day, it usually means that Russia's going to swoop in, Putin's going to swoop in and save the day, further making America isolated, because that is his goal. That's the goal Putin wants. He wants America to fall back and Russia to come forward. And Trump, of course, is always subservient to Putin. Don't know why. There is a reason. Anyway, United States will also immediately stop negotiations being laid by the Department of Commerce with respect to a $100 billion trade deal with Turkey. All right, and he goes on and on. Since my first day in office, the Trump administration has worked tirelessly to preserve the safety and security of the United States and its citizens, blah, blah, blah. He talks about ISIS and caliphate and that whole thing. Turkey must not put these gains in jeopardy. And that is what's happening. So ISIS, of course, is an organization that does not mean us well. I think we can say that. So this statement that he made is I expected that he was going to do something, but he did say that he would rather this statement is controversial to some people, but let me read this. Some people want the United States to protect the 7,000-mile-away border of Syria, presided over by Bashar al-Assad, our enemy. At the same time, Syria and whoever they choose to help wants naturally to protect the Kurds. I would much rather focus on our southern border, which is part of the United States of America. And by the way, numbers are way down and the wall is being built. So I don't disagree with that. I think that to every hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I think to military folk, everything looks like a conflict that they need to go and do the army thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we need to stay out of other people's business, even if it is our ally. Ooh, it's our ally. What do you think about that?
I mean, I agree, because it takes money out of our pockets. We could be doing something else with that money.
Absolutely. Okay, so you have friends. You got a lot of friends, right? You got girlfriends. They may have stuff going on in their house. Does that mean that you need to go to their house, stay and watch over their house, and you need to worry about your own house, right?
Right.
And you don't have enough time in the day to go to all your girlfriends' house to fix all their problems, and then live your life, fix your own problems. It's too thin. You empathize with them. They're your friends. They're your allies. However, you can't fix everybody's problems.
Right.
Now, of course, you're not America and you don't have all those resources, but the fact remains the same. We have a lot of things that we need to get in order here.
Right.
Something that's 7,000 miles away. Okay, right now, if you got to drive 700 miles, that's a long way, right?
It is.
Okay. 7,000 miles away, you can't even conceive driving that far.
Nope.
Right? You can't even conceive being on a ship and rolling and rowing that far. That is far away. 7,000 miles is far away. I don't agree with Trump on a lot of things, but I do think that it is time for us to focus. Now, if he's just talking and not going to do anything, I think that, no, we don't need, a whole bunch of military folk on the border. We don't need that. We do need to have money, more money that is invested in our infrastructure and things, fixing things here. You want to borrow some money from China to add to our large deficit? Let it be on stuff to fix stuff here. The weapons manufacturers, how about y'all develop some of the stuff that we need here? I know that it's not as expensive. I know those military contracts are very big, and they're still going to get military contracts. But let's focus more on infrastructure. Let's focus more on things for America, the actual country America. Maybe I'm crazy, but there have been, and there are going to be more videos coming out of executions, beheadings. If you remember, during the Obama administration, these things were coming out a lot. And a couple of them came out over the weekend. There are going to be more of these coming out because as the Americans leave, they're going to do these things. But we have to focus and understand that bad things are going to happen around the world. And we can't get in every conflict. And at a certain point, it is time to leave. And nobody's going to like when it's time to leave. It's not going to be like in the old days, what you read in the history book. And the people are going to come and they're going to give their sword. Hey, you're right. I lost the fight. You know what I mean? And I surrender. It ain't going to be like that no more. That's not how it is. A lot of these people are going to fight to the last man, to the death of everybody. You know what I mean? And we're getting involved in other people's business. And it's too much. It's too much. So we're gonna see how that is. The president says that he is fully prepared to swiftly destroy Turkey's economy if Turkish leaders continue down this dangerous and destructive path. So I think that my main issue is that he's had people speaking out that have not verbalized things well, and it makes America seem like they were scared and that's why they were leaving. They should have simply said, we're going to do something else. We don't need to have our soldiers here for this issue. We're going to take care of it with sanctions. We're not leaving because we can't handle the heat. We're just going to apply a different recipe as it relates to Turkey and more specifically northeastern Syria. That's what I think they should say. But such is life, of course. We just tuned in. It's Diamond K Show. Nikki's in the building. She is not very versed on geopolitical stuff.
Absolutely not. It's boring.
And of course, you can advertise your product, service, or upcoming event with Radio on Fire. Our broadcasts reach over 350,000 people per month. Get your message in front of our audience with targeted social media campaigns, commercials, on-air mentions, giveaways, and much more. Visit radioonfire.com/promo for pricing details. So thank you for sitting in. I knew that today was going to get a little political or like world news, geopolitical. And thank you for sticking in there with me, Nikki. I know that it is not your forte.
Sure. Anytime.
Of course, as always, radioonfire.com/Diamond K. If you miss any episodes of the show, definitely subscribe to the broadcast, however you're hearing or seeing this, and hit the share button and the like button. See you guys tomorrow.